I am Froswa Booker-Drew, National Community Engagement Director for World Vision U.S. programs. And so in that role, what I do is work with a team of engagement officers around the country in 7 locations and helping them convene and train and build the capacity of community organizations. In addition to that, I'm an author. I do a lot of training. I'm an adjunct professor at the University of Texas at Arlington, and I love helping women build their leadership and their possibilities to be all that they can be. I'm really passionate about helping diverse women come together. I just finished my PhD, and my dissertation was around bringing a diverse group of women together and helping them not only build relationships, but look at what their immunities are to creating change. What are those barriers that keep women from connecting to each other? And so I'm really intrigued with bringing women who typically would never come together and introducing them to one another and watching magic happen. And I think for a lot of women, they see it as it's networking. I've got to make something transactional happen. And I'm really about how do you have these transformational relationships that help you, whether it's personally or professionally. So a lot of things I'm doing now, writing. I'm doing a lot of writing for some Australian very big publications online. And so just trying to, get the word out about my interest in helping women, see themselves differently, as well as looking at each other as comrades instead of, competitors. There were so many. I realized the power of the story, and I realized that women don't realize what they say about themselves in their stories and how your identity is tied so much to what you tell others about yourself. And so that was a huge aha for me, was the power of the story, and that stories allow women to connect to each other. That's really how change happens. And so I became convinced if we want to change issues around class and race and really beginning to see people move into different areas, whether it's work or whether it's housing, and you want to change communities, it really is about having those conversations that are open, where people feel safe and that they're able to really share and tell their perspective. I was so intrigued with watching women who were unemployed, who were from different backgrounds, talk about their experiences, and women who, were a little bit more affluent, being able to connect. And sometimes you would look and say, oh, they don't have anything in common. But at the core of all of us are things like pleasure and pain that push us. And so we all have some things in common that draw us together. And that was a big aha for me. Wow, my mom. My mom went to college for a year, really spent her life investing in me and my brother and my dad and helping him build his business. And so my mom is not someone who is well known or accomplished or written books or anything like that. She's just my biggest cheerleader, and she's helped me to be a better person. I've watched her struggle and make a lot of sacrifices. And despite not having the titles, and the accomplishments, that is one of the most intelligent, wise people I've ever met in my life. And so that is my constant inspiration. And there are others that I look to and think about, a Mother Teresa and some of the things that she did and giving and helping to others. Michelle Obama, there's so many, the list goes on and on, but I think the characteristic that is common in all of them is to see women who give of themselves. And that for me is always inspiring. Well, I thought that event was amazing, to have that many women in a room who are committed. I think the next piece is, how do you begin to start mobilizing women? And I think it is bringing women who are very different together and sharing stories. It's very easy to hang out with people that are just like you. And, that's called bonding social capital. What we really want to see is, and me personally, I want to see people bridge. How do you link to people that are so different than you are? And that is through the conversation. So I think for poverty to change, it really becomes, critical that someone who's not impoverished begin to have that lens and understand what are the structural barriers that keep women from being able to achieve. Because it's not an intelligence issue. And I think sometimes we have perceptions because we just don't know. And I think things will begin to change when people better understand what people go through and what are the obstacles that they're dealing with. And so that to me is the first piece, is how do you create these groups of very different women to share and look at how they share their networks and share their wisdom and begin to look at creating change together. A woman will get out of poverty not just because of education, but it's going to be critical to have a support system of people who can help you move to the next level. And I think that's huge for creating that kind of change. Well, I think one is understanding first yourself and your own lens. And I think for so many people, they don't recognize that they have a filter in how they see things. Get educated. There was an article recently that a young man posted at my undergrad college that was very racist. And he basically had a lens that, you know, he wasn't aware of, that he was filtering things through. And my point in responding has been, you've got to see it from another perspective. And I think it's helping people to see their judgments sometimes are clouded by their experiences. So how do you educate yourself? And then how do you begin to create opportunities to be exposed to something different? So before trying to create change and go out and save the world, how do you first look at your own barriers and begin to start understanding yourself and then connect to people who are different? Dallas is such a multicultural city, and there's so many places around the country. As you see urban areas becoming more global in their populations, how do you begin to start learning about other people and finding opportunities to go to plays and begin to go to those groups and explore and learn and build relationships with people and see that you have more in common, that you do different, but the goal is not to change them. The goal really is understanding. That's a good question. I think, you know, I'm a person of faith, and I really believe that God gives you the grace to do what you're called to do. And so, you know, I hear a lot of people going, I'm really busy and I can't get things done. I think for a lot of us, we're in captivity to activity. And so how do you make sure that you're doing the things that you are called to do? And in doing that, he gives you the grace and it becomes easy. It's tiresome, it can be, but you're having fun along the way. And I'm really blessed because I'm in a situation where every day I get to have a good time. I work with people that I love. I get to utilize my education and my experience and channel that into others. And then, you know, to have this side piece where I'm doing the same thing, I'm really enjoying what life looks like, because I feel like right now I'm in a place of contentment. I'm doing what I'm supposed to do. And I think for most women, if you want balance, make sure that you're doing what you're called to do. I love to laugh, and I love to be around people who enjoy life. I mean, we're serious when it comes to doing what we do, but even in the seriousness of it, we still are able to have a good time. And so part of what my balance includes is having good friends and people who pour into my life, where it's not always work, where we can, you know, take off the many hats that we wear and just, you know, let it all out and have fun. Life is too short not to be able to enjoy that and get a glass of wine, Moscato, and have a really good time. Oh my God, why wouldn't I? I mean, the opportunity to not only share but learn and be a part of something that's global and transforming lives, I'm honored for the opportunity, because I believe not only in sharing, I'm going to grow around the expertise that you're putting into this and the people that are sharing their stories and their knowledge. So I'm honored just to be able to be a part of this. Well, it's so many levels. I mean, there's this individual power that women have and we don't recognize. There's this collective power that we have as women. And so I think women do not really know what they're capable of. And sometimes that's because of structural barriers that exist. Sometimes it's people who tell you, you can't do that. Nobody's ever done that before. And I think the wisdom that we have, I think the ability to create is huge. And so how do we tap into that energy source, not only within ourselves, but with each other? I think it's unlimited what women are capable of doing. No, and part of that is media. I mean, I love that you're using that as a tool and an instrument to create change, but so often media is used to tear women apart. I mean, when you look at the shows like Bad Girls Clubs and all these Real Housewives, which most of them aren't real and most of them aren't housewives, you know, and so you've got all of this and the love and hip hops. And so it's hitting every age group of teens and young adults, and even women in their 40s have these models of women who don't get along very well. And so I think because of that, we're being told you can't work together. You can't create positive things. All you can do is, you know, throw shade, as they call it, and be mean-spirited. And I'm excited that this is an opportunity to show that women can come together, that there is a power that we have individually and collectively, and we can do some things that make a difference. So I don't think we've tapped into a fraction of what we can do. Until our mindset changes about who we are and how we see each other, when that changes, it's unbelievable what we'll be able to do.